Welcome to today. So today I actually am not going to talk as much about marketing as about planning because I firmly believe that a goal without a plan is just wishful thinking. So today we are going to dive into creating a plan for your this says 2025. It's supposed to say 2026. I didn't notice that until just now, but for next year. I don't know about you, but I sometimes forget what year we're in. Okay, so first things first, I did create a document for everyone. I'm popping it into the chat now. This document is designed to help you build out the plan that will help you to really get the most out of your next year. Scaling doesn't happen because you want it bad enough. It happens when you have clarity about your vision, alignment with your energy and values, and structure you can actually follow up through on. And that's what I want to create together today, step by step, page by page, with also some breathing room. Because I don't know about you, but a lot of my clients come to me because they are overwhelmed with the thought of scaling. They're not sure what to do first or next. And I want to take that overwhelm away. You don't have to overhaul your business. You don't have to put $1 million into funnels or ads. You do need to walk out of here knowing where you're headed and how you're going to get there. The truth is, I did this the first time in 2018. Look, wishing and hoping that might work for your birthday or open parking spots at Target, but it's not a strategy for building a sustainable, profitable, easy business. And I don't know about you, but my focus the last 2 years has been creating ease in my life. Wishing doesn't give you structure. Hoping doesn't help you make confident decisions. And setting big goals without a clear plan, that's just another way of getting stuck in that loop. Whether you are at this end of the year and you're, as Linda said, like this year was a banger year and you did everything you wanted to do, or you're heading into this time of the season going, shit. Either way, creating a plan for next year will help you to move into next year in a way that just catapults you. No one ever taught us how to take bold, exciting visions and turn it into something we can actually follow through on. We are often taught by gurus and people out there that if we just dream big enough and write down that goal, that it's going to happen. But a vision board and hoping is not actually going to make any difference. You have to put in action. We weren't taught how to reverse engineer those dreams into milestones so that everything builds on each other over and over again throughout the year, so that by the end of the year, we actually do hit those milestones. We were told to set revenue goals, but not how to decide what to sell, when, and how often to actually get there. So oftentimes we set the same vague goals over and over again. We ride the same roller coaster of starting in January, we're really freaking motivated. And by June, we're like, what the happened? And we tell ourselves we just need more willpower or more time or the next big guru fix out there. That was me back in 2018. I had just started scaling my agency, so I hired a coach. I was trying to get serious about my revenue goals and my business overall. I told her I wanted to hit 250K in the next year, and she said, great, what's your plan? And I kind of blinked because I didn't have a plan. I had a big number and a lot of hope. So her next question was, well, what's your SMART goal? And I froze there because I didn't have one there either. I didn't even know how to create a goal that was specific, measurable, aligned, realistic, and time bound. But once I learned how to break that big goal into quarters and then into monthly milestones, it completely changed my business. And suddenly that 250K didn't feel like a fantasy. It felt doable. And the best part is that I hit my 20K month goal 3 months earlier than I expected. Not because I hustled harder, but because I finally found a plan I could actually follow. Or more importantly, I created a plan I could actually follow. So that's what I want to do today. First, we're going to spend some time looking backwards because you can't build something better if you're still stuck in the same loop. It's that whole trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. Then we're going to create one clear aligned goal for 2025. Not five, not seven, just one. We're going to make it a little bit of a stretch, but not something so big that we can't reach it. And from there, we're going to reverse engineer it quarter by quarter, month by month, so that you know exactly what to focus on and when. Once your strategy fits your energy, your business, and your capacity, scaling becomes simple. It happens when clarity meets structure, and that's what I want to help you create today. So this is pretty freaking interactive. I'm going to ask you questions. I want you to open that document, and I want you to either use it or get out a piece of pen and paper, whatever works best for you. Let's start with the reflection before we dive into the strategy, because here's the truth. You can't create a really meaningful plan for what's next if you're disconnected from what actually worked right now. And so often that happens, right? We get really excited about something and then negative thoughts or bad, whatever happens in your life or your business happen, and you forget about the good that we did. When we skip this part, we end up chasing goals that look impressive, but oftentimes feel like shit. We build plans that technically work, but they don't necessarily work for us. We adapt some guru's idea of what will work. So here's your first question. Grab your worksheet, your notebook, use the Google Doc, just make a copy of it. It'll work for you. Answer this. What lit you up this year? What moments made you feel good and energized, proud, excited, or even just grounded in the, I've got this. I know what I'm doing. Was it a certain client that you loved? A project that felt like it came straight from your soul? Maybe it was a moment you realized, wait, I actually like selling my thing right now because sales is such a dirty word for people. Maybe it was a full Friday off or a 3-day work week that didn't tank your revenue. Take about 90 seconds, jot some things down. There's no pressure, just bullet point it. You don't have to fill in everything. What words pop up in your head? If your brain is going, I can't remember what I ate yesterday, much less what happened this past year, that's totally normal. We don't usually slow down long enough to name what's working. We're usually trying to fix what's broken, which leads us into a loop of not really focusing on the thing that works. This question is your gold mine. This is where you get to really focus on what worked so we can do more of that. Metrics are critically important here, but I also want you to think beyond the metrics. What moments made you feel alive in your business? Feel confident? Feel joy? Feel like, oh, I did this. This is exactly what I want to do with my life. That's what we're looking for, not just revenue, because revenue by itself just makes our lives focused on money, which is great because we all want money and money is fantastic and helps us and makes our lives easier. But if all we're doing is chasing a dollar for a dollar's sake, we're going to burn ourselves out. Sometimes we skip over what's working because it's not dramatic. We didn't see $1 million in that first 3 months of the year. But what did we see? Those subtle pieces count too. If you feel comfortable, I want you to drop one of your top things into the chat. What's that word that popped up for you this year? What's that big moment that you were like, "Oh my God, yes. This is how I want every day of my life to look." Whether that's loving your new offer or finally trusting your pricing or not being in launch mode 24/7, those things are what matters. I love that, Nikki. Selling successfully. That's fantastic. Whatever you wrote down right now, make sure that this is your foundation. We want to avoid getting lost in the shuffle. This is where we want to build from. You want more of that next year. You want goals and plans to create more of these moments, more of these sales, more of these clients. Because so often we build plans that sound smart on paper, but we ignore what we actually enjoyed. And then we wonder why our business is stressful or we start resenting it. I want to start this next year with what lights you up and then build from there. Our next question is, what are you letting go of? It is one of the most powerful ones that you can ask yourself, not just today, but every freaking day of the next year. What no longer fits? What feels heavy, expired, unsustainable? Even if it used to make sense. When I shut down my agency, this was what I had to look at and assess. What was it that I needed to let go of that no longer served me? Maybe it's one offer that sells well, but sucks the soul out of you every time you deliver it. Maybe it's a client that every time you see them on your calendar, you feel this pit of dread in your stomach. Maybe it's an invisible habit, like undercharging because it feels easier than raising your rates, or saying yes to every opportunity out of fear you'll be missing your big break. You know what it is. And if it came up for you just now, that's the thing. So in your workbook, what are you letting go of? What are you releasing? Let go of the stuff that outgrew you, the strategies that aren't working, the self-talk that keeps you small, the client that drags you back because they take so much time. This can be vulnerable, and I'm not going to ask you to share. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. This is about leadership, leading yourself, leading your business. Because if you want to grow, you can't cling to what's no longer aligned just because you've always done it. It is the reason I shut down the agency and pivoted to consulting and coaching. It was no longer aligned with what I wanted to do with my business and my life and how I wanted to help people. Letting go doesn't mean something was a mistake. It just means that it doesn't fit you anymore. We get to evolve. Your business should too. You're not alone in this. We all do it. We're all been carrying things that we just don't need anymore. And I want you to know that letting go of something is strategic. It's not quitting, it's not giving up, it's choosing. It's clearing the space for something that actually fits for you. Scaling is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters the most in order to move the needle. And scaling doesn't necessarily mean creating $1 million business. It absolutely can. But it does not mean doing it in a way that doesn't fit you anymore. There is no have to in business. There is get to. What do you get to do? What do you love to do? Look, you can't build a business that supports you if you keep designing it around what drains you. This is your permission to release what no longer fits. Now we get to start building forward from a place of clarity. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay, let's start with our goals for next year. We've made space. You named what lit you up and what you're letting go of. Now we get to get clear. Avoid being vague. Avoid creating a vision board or a Pinterest board. I want you to create a goal that you can measure and that is clear. One clear goal for 2025. Just one. Not a pile of intentions, not a long list of nice to haves. And for goodness sake, no New Year's resolution that you're going to give up by the 16th of January. One clear, aligned stretch goal that will guide every decision you make this year. This is a part that a lot of people skip because they say things like, I want more consistency, or I want to grow, or even I want to make more money. And those are vibe goals. Even if it's about losing weight, like I want to lose weight is still a vibe goal. You can't reverse engineer a vibe. You can reverse engineer a SMART goal. Your goal should feel like a stretch, but not a fantasy. Back to the weight, because I'm on a health journey, my friends. Expecting to lose 30 pounds in a month is a fantasy. Creating a very specific goal of wanting to lose 30 pounds by whatever that time-bound piece can be. The goal should make you a little bit nervous and also excited. Like, if I had a real plan, I could actually do this. That's the sweet spot. We're aiming for a SMART goal. That means specific. Not more, not I just want more clients, but 10 clients in this offer. It needs to be measurable. You can track the progress. How close are you to hitting that goal? It needs to be aligned. It needs to match your values and where you're at in life and the business you want or the life you want. It needs to be realistic. It has to fit the season of your life and also be something that is attainable within the time that you want to reach it. And it needs to be time bound. You know when you're going to hit this by. So instead of, I want to grow my business, it's more like I want to hit 150K by October 1st with a 3-day work week and 2 offers max. That's a real goal, a SMART goal. You can plan around it. You can build your life around it. You can build your business around it. You can say no to things that don't fit and yes to the ones that do. So write down your one clear goal for 2025. Avoid getting stuck in perfect right now. Just name it. What are you calling? What are you calling out? What do you want? That number, that offer, that lifestyle you've been circling around, put it down on paper. And remember, if it doesn't feel exciting or a little bit nervous in the belly, it's probably too small. I had a friend, her favorite saying is a goal that doesn't scare you isn't big enough. You want a little bit of that fear in there. And also, you want it to be realistic. There's that space in between making something so big you'll never get it versus something that is definitely doable and it's going to take some work. Ask yourself, what's the version of you that you want to step into next year? What would she choose? I love the future you scenario. What would that person that you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, what would they choose in order to step down that path? And this goal is about more than just a number. It's a direction. It becomes the filter for what belongs in your business next year and what doesn't. If you never came back to this workshop again and you stayed connected to this one clear goal, you'd still move forward. If you're open to sharing, I'd love you to drop in the chat your goal, even if it's a rough draft. And I also want you to know that this is a safe environment. No one here is judging you. So if your goal is smaller than you think everyone else is, it's okay. If your goal is bigger than you think everyone else is, it's okay. This is about what you want for next year. Now that you've got that goal, we get to map it out. I know. I don't know if everyone else likes lists and goal and mapping and all of these things, planning as much as I do. My sister says I'm a little bit of a nut when it comes to planning things. But this is the fun part if we let it be. Big goals don't need more hustle. They need structure. Your goal might feel big. It might feel a little exciting, might feel a little nervous, maybe a little scary, and that's okay. Here's what we're going to avoid. We're going to avoid staring at the goal every morning and hoping it magically happens. Because a big goal without structure and a plan is just additional stress. And setting ourselves up to feel this feeling of failure. This is where we turn your goal from overwhelming into actionable, from a vision board into your Asana board. I know this is so important. This piece is so important because I've done it both ways. Before I set my first SMART goal and created a plan around it, I just stared at that number for months. I got overwhelmed with the idea of making more money. I didn't know how. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was motivated, sure, but I just kept thinking, how the hell am I actually going to get there? It wasn't until I sat down and broke that down into quarters and then into months that it finally clicked. I started setting micro goals, real doable targets for each quarter. And that, my friends, changed everything. Suddenly I wasn't carrying the whole weight of that big number that I'd never hit before. I was just focused on one thing at a time. And each time I hit one of those mini goals, I got to celebrate. I wasn't waiting for December to feel successful. Those micro goals I kept hitting, I knew would lead to the bigger one inevitably, but it still made it feel like a win every time I hit them. So that's what I want you to do. You've got a 12-month goal, or maybe you've only got a quarter goal right now and you need to break that down. And we'll get more into that in a bit. But from 12 months, I want to zoom in and map it out quarter by quarter. What needs to happen each quarter for you to hit the goal at the end of the year without you missing it, burning out, or overwhelming yourself? Think of your goal kind of like climbing a mountain. You're not going to go from base camp to the peak with one giant leap. You're building the base camps along the way, 4 of them, one per quarter. And in each quarter, you might focus on one big thing. That might be relaunching something new. It might be rebuilding your website or your brand or something else. It might be automating, or it might even just be resting, because yes, rest can be strategic. You need that time and space in order to actually envision what you want your business to look like. Each quarter does need to have some kind of overarching theme, a core focus that makes progress inevitable. So in your workbook, there are a section for each quarter. Jot down what you think your big focus or milestone for that quarter should be. This doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it probably is not, because you have like 90 seconds to do it in. It does need to be clear enough for you to continue moving forward. Remember that you don't have to hit your big goal in quarter one. That's not how this works. If your goal is 150K or 200K or 500K, maybe quarter one is about refining your offer and optimizing your funnel, or creating a funnel, or creating a lead generation system. That's all part of the plan. That's progress. The point is momentum without overwhelming yourself. The goal is never to do more. It's to do what matters right now in the right order, so that you stopped reacting to every fire in your business and start leading yourself and your business in a way that helps you create goals and scales your business. If you're open to it, I'd love to hear what that first quarter goal is. What are you prioritizing? Are you simplifying your offer? Are you mapping out a launch? Are you creating a new funnel? Are you building a back-end system? What's that thing that you're doing? Now that we've created your quarterly structure, I want to tighten it even more, because this next step is actually what makes everything easy. Clarity at a quarterly level is fantastic, but execution happens month to month. So I want you to take that first quarter and break that down into monthly milestones. What a lot of people end up doing when it comes to goal setting is they get excited in December. Or if you're like me, you started in October. I do, because I map out a lot. They map their vision, or maybe they don't. And then by February, the vision is buried under client work, a new offer idea, a dozen browser tabs. I don't know about you, but my computer looks like a hell zone of browser tabs. And it's not because they're not capable. It's because they didn't break it down far enough. They stopped at the quarter and hoped it would work. That year that I set that first 250K goal, I had mapped out my quarters and I felt really proud of myself. I did it in October with my coach. And then January hit and I immediately started panicking because I didn't know what to actually focus on in that month. The quarter felt clear. I was working on my funnel at the time, I believe. But the month, I was right back into, okay, what do I do with this? So I went back and I broke it down even further. I ask myself now, what needs to happen in January to make February make sense? And then what happens needs to happen in February to make March work? So if your first quarter is to create a new funnel, maybe it's the strategy then January, and then the build out in February, and then the launch in March. That one shift changed everything. It made the plan real. Suddenly, I wasn't just staring at this mountain, I was taking one step at a time. And every time I hit one of those monthly milestones, I felt the momentum building without the burnout and the dread in real grounded progress. So that's what I want you to do now. Look at your first quarter goal, break it down into clear monthly milestones. What needs to happen first? What needs to be built or tested next? What sets you up for success by the end of quarter one? You're not filling out a whole content calendar here. You're just identifying the big moves. You can then break that down into smaller pieces as you go along. And you don't need to be perfect here. This isn't about predicting the future. It's about creating structure you can adjust as you grow. What's one decision you've been putting off that you could make in January? What's one thing you've been circling around that you could become clear on for February? What would it feel like to finish March knowing that you actually stuck to the plan, put in the work, and created that goal? What are you doing in January? How many clients do you want by February? What are you closing in March? The power of clarity, when you know your focus each month, you don't have to hustle every week. You just follow the damn plan. And then you get to imagine walking into the next 90 days knowing exactly what to do. So you're not second guessing. That's how you scale with intention. We've mapped it out, broken it down, and looking at a strategy that can actually work. But here's what we both know. A plan isn't magic. It doesn't execute itself. And motivation is often flaky. What actually keeps this alive in rhythm is creating space to actually create, to be the CEO of your business. It's reclaiming a moment, a reconnection. It's zooming out once a week to ask yourself, am I building what I said I'd build? Just, am I creating what I want my business to be this year? Or have I spent this last week reacting to every freaking thing that showed up and putting out 900 fires? We want to avoid doing more. We want to do what matters on purpose. People make money all the time by accident, but the ones who scale, the ones who grow, the ones who hit those $1 million or even 250 or 500,000 a year are the ones that take action with intention. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you here. Back when I was scaling the energy agency, I would map out things beautifully. I love planning. I love me some plans, man. And then I'd completely ghost my own plan. Not because I didn't care, but because I got caught up in the swirl that is business sometimes. The client deadlines, the new ideas, the unexpected fires. I'm sure you know the drill. And every time I skipped checking in with myself, I drifted further from the plan that I actually wanted. And yet, the moment I started carving out time for myself to be a CEO, to look back at the week, at the month, at the quarter, at the year, I started to lead again. So I wasn't just reacting and adjusting based on whatever fire was in front of me. I was leading my business. I was making choices and decisions on purpose rather than reaction. So pick a day of the week, same time if you can, to make it a really good habit. Once a week, spend 15 to 30 minutes. Ask yourself, what was your focus this week? Did you move the needle? What's the one thing that matters this coming week? Do you need to pivot or double down? Do you need assistance? Do you need a VA? Do you need a coach? Do you need a marketer? Do you need a copywriter? Are you trying to do everything yourself? Really taking stock of that every week allows you to set up your next week in a way that keeps you moving forward. It's not about do-to list. It is a truth check-in. When you give yourself this rhythm, you don't just build a business. You become the woman that leads it, that creates a vision and steps into it. And more importantly, you build trust within yourself because so often we set goals or make plans and then we give up on ourselves. This allows us to understand that we will follow through on our stuff, not just our clients. And that's the most powerful resource you've got. This whole workshop has been about creating a business that feels aligned, doable, and real so that you can create a strong foundation to scale. And your CEO time is what keeps it that way. It turns your plan into consistent progress. And that momentum keeps you moving so you stop spinning and start steering your business. You came here with a desire to grow, to scale your business, to make next year different, not just busier. We've talked about what doesn't work. And we've started creating those big goals, those plans. Now it's time for you to own them, to take action. You have a SMART goal that actually fits your life. You've mapped it out quarter by quarter. You've started your month by month. That rhythm will help you stay in motion. And I'm also going to be real with you here because this type of work isn't for the faint of heart. It does take courage to say, I want more, and I'm willing to not only say it out loud, but plan for it and take action to do it. It takes leadership of yourself to say, I'm not chasing everything anymore. I'm choosing what matters. And it takes vision to say, I'm not just building a business, I'm building a life that works for me. Whatever your version of success is, because it is different for everyone. And that is the beautiful thing about being a human being. Whether it's more income or more freedom or more space to breathe, you just get to build a path to get there. When you have that plan, it's inevitable that it works.